everyone, I'm Cassandra.
And I'm Mom.
And this is Millennial Mom. And welcome back to our channel. We are here to recap another episode of Married at First Sight, Season 12, Episode 9, 3 Little Words. And those 3 little words to me was, I'm over it. And this shirt was unintentional. Because I was like, what is happening in this show?
But subliminal.
Direct, if anything. But we're going to make this really brief because nothing really happened in this episode. It was pretty much everything we already knew, besides a few new things. So we're gonna keep it really brief for you guys. So the first person we're going to start off with, which is actually who the episode started off with and pretty much set the tone, was Haley and Jacob. We first see Haley and she is at the table with her girlfriends. We already know her good Judy Lauren, who everyone has turned to like now, and one of her other friends. And they're pretty much asking, so how was the housewarming? Was it okay? You know, we found out a little bit more about Jacob. And she was like, yeah, it seemed like it went good. But, you know, after everyone left, he asked me if I'm physically attracted to him. And then they had that playback scene of when he asked her and she was like,
But you know what? That playback scene reminded me of several, like an Olivia and Brett playback scene, remember? And I believe it was a Minions act, but especially Olivia and Brett. But you know what? She's not fooling me. She's never fooled me.
She fooled me a little bit.
She's never really had that attraction to Jacob, and she's re-explaining to her friend Lauren and to her other friend, who I don't think was at the housewarming, the reasons why she's not attracted to Jacob. And it goes back to that honeymoon scene, and it goes back really before that, because she even said before many times she wasn't attracted to him at the wedding. She was semi-attracted, but you know, she kind of
That's not what she said.
She went with the flow.
Yes.
And then that honeymoon scene, that's when she really got things like set back with things. But I'm like, you was already set back, and you still owe Jacob an apology.
I don't think she does. So you think she's making excuses still?
Yeah, I do.
I think so too.
Guess what?
And so
as your shirt says, over it, Haley.
Well, her friend Lauren said, you know, you actually have to try with the marriage. And Haley's like, you know, eventually we're going to get there. Whatever. They're going to see. Then we had that really quick scene with Ryan and Claire, where Claire took Ryan to a clay pottery activity. And it was a nice activity for both of them. They were both learning about each other. We learned even more that Ryan is still a perfectionist. And
but when they did that scene, I'm like, a perfectionist. You know, I was on your side at first.
Don't be shady.
Until we saw that cupboard and things kind of like awry. But she said that she does pottery and things like that. She's crafty to de-stress, and she has a job where I can see where she needs to be distressed with customers and on the plane and stuff like that. But Ryan, you know, he still comes across, not just this episode and the entire episode, but the one before that and before that, like
disinterested.
Very disinterested, like not checked out, but just disinterested in things that she's saying. Like, you know, kind of like, I have to be here and I'm hearing you, but I'm over it.
Exactly.
That should have been the scene of the episode. Yeah.
I'm over it. And so another scene that I was like, okay. We then get to Paige, and Paige meets with Chris's pastor friend or ex-friend, whoever it is, Pastor Dwight. And the first thing I said was, why? Why is she meeting with him? Why is this needed? Why does he want to meet with her? Why aren't we seeing her family meet with her? That's what I want to know. Why him, of all people?
What I want to know.
Your why?
My why is, why wasn't Pastor Cal, the expert you chose to meet with the first time when you were going off on the phone and you told production you wanted to meet with, not meeting back with you after the episode with Chris and the ex? Like, you could have avoided all of this. But she went to sit down with Pastor Dwight, who he told her that, you know, he wasn't really sure if Chris was ready for this process, and he kind of dropped the ball on her about not the ball, the bomb, excuse me,
he
on her.
He didn't even drop the bomb. He spilled the tea on Chris. I'm like, Pastor Dwight, are you Chris's friend or not?
But I do think that him sitting down with her was a little off, because
Or put together.
Where does that come in? Like, where would that be his place to come in? Like, if you want to talk to someone again, it should have been to Chris. Yeah.
Yeah, not someone who you don't know because you think that Paige is right for Chris. Well, Chris don't think that. So Chris should have been the one that Pastor Dwight should have sat with. But I guess Paige felt maybe, I don't even know, vindicated in some type of way that, you know, he said that about her. But Paige is a whole nother story in itself because Pastor Dwight even asked, like, do you even still want to be with Chris? Like, is this something that you see yourself doing? And we didn't get an answer. Really.
We know the answer. She didn't have to say, we already know the answer. So, moving on.
Yes, moving on to Eric and Virginia. So we have a really quick scene with them, but this scene was important because they're out golfing early in the morning, it looked like to me. And Virginia had kind of the audacity to be like, you know, we haven't really had that much time together because he's been off working and we haven't had as much communication as, you know, he would say that he would want. I was like, first of all, I thought you wanted your solo time, so you were getting your solo time. And you didn't really want no one checking up on you, so he weren't checking up on you.
Now, see, that also to me falls into a little bit of the, well, you know, you said we were going to text and I told you I didn't want to text, but how come you didn't text? So she wants the best of both worlds. She wanted him to check up on her, but not really.
Yeah, and that's where Eric was kind of like, you know, this is my job. This is what I do. You said you were okay with it, so I'm going off of what you said. So are you okay with it? She's like, yeah, I guess for now.
But if they did golf in the morning or whatever, why does she have a can of beer?
Anywho, we're just going to move past on that because we're over that too. To another scene with Haley and Jacob. And Haley thought if she bought Jacob some new clothes, not only would it show that, you know, she's trying, she's gift giving to him, but maybe with the clothes that she bought, he would be a little bit more attracted to her. And I'm like, no. That's not going to work, Haley. Like, I was really on Haley's side. I was kind of seeing where Haley was going with some of the things she was doing. But trying to change someone from how they dress, it's not going to work for you because Jacob is not going to change. He keeps saying he's an old man, even though he's not old in his old ways. Let him be the 80s thing. If you're not feeling the 80s thing, just let that be known and go about something else positive. Not try to change him for you.
Well, what I got from that scene was, I'm over it, Haley. I know I'm going to keep saying it, and you just wore the appropriate shirt tonight. Because you buying clothes, maybe it was a suggestion, or maybe do something nice, the little things from your friends for Jacob, but changing his shirts and things like that so you could be more attractive, it's not going to work. If you're either attracted to somebody or you're not. So,
and Jacob was like, yeah, you know, I like these clothes. It was nice and all, but you already said you weren't attracted to me, so where is this going? Are we leading down a friendship path? Are you trying to get to know me a little bit more? Like, what are we doing? And Haley was like, you know, you just have to give me time. I just need some time to build upon this. And then he was like, yeah, you know, I don't have a problem with giving you time. But last night, you went to go visit Paige at 9 p.m. And, you know, I didn't think you was going to stay out all night. So I, like, sent you a little jokey text, like, you coming home around 11? And Haley never came home. I'm like, Haley, this is the second time you did this.
Which is why she owes him an apology, not the first time, but for the second time. And you're on Paige's phone like, oh, you know, maybe we should have been matched up. You know, oh, the experts are good. So you didn't think that you should have came home, just like you didn't think you should have came back to the room to say anything like, oh, I didn't know?
Well, she said she wanted to give him space.
Okay.
Well, moving on to the main thing that happened in this episode. So all the main couples, besides Chris and Paige, had love letters sent to them where each of the partners were talking about, you know, have they been in love before? What does love feel like for them? And they all definitely had different reactions. I wasn't surprised by Ryan and Clara because Ryan is just awkward about everything. unless he's interested in it, and he's not interested in the love aspect. So once again, it's like, why is he on the show? But go ahead and say what you're gonna say.
No, honestly, if you go back to the beginning, I just think all the men, I think I even said this, all the men are a little bit more reserved than the women this season. But Ryan is interested, you're right, in things that he's interested in. But I also think, again, that Clara talks too much for Ryan and that he isn't with all that. But Ryan says that, eventually he'll get there because the love has to be at a certain standard, a certain level. And I can see what he means with that. Like, love, you shouldn't just give it and just say it just because it's said when you really don't mean it. I get that. But then again, to have this type of process, you have to open yourself up just a little bit more. And Clara is just like really frustrated. I mean, it's over her face and everything. It's not just sexually frustrated. She's frustrated. She's tired.
Yeah, and Ryan sees that, but I don't think Ryan cares because Ryan wants to do things on Ryan's time. And Ryan, that's not how it works in a marriage. And then we have Eric and Virginia. The biggest bombshell besides Virginia only wanting a drop of orange juice in her mimosa was that Eric always compared his previous relationships to his marriage on how he would be in love with someone.
Right.
So he has things that he loves about Virginia, but he's not really in love with Virginia yet. And then this goes back to what Virginia has been talking about since day one, pretty much, about her parents' marriage, how they haven't worked out. So the only real good relationship she's seen is with her sister and her partner.
Right.
So she's kind of like nervous and has some anxiety about all the standards that Eric is really putting on her.
Exactly. And I've been saying that too. But hold on. Let me dial it back. I don't think Eric's putting standards on her. I think Eric has standards of what...
What do you think Eric is doing? Because you don't think Eric's being controlling. You don't think he's putting standards. What is Eric doing?
Eric is not putting standards on her. Eric's putting standards on the type of relationship he wants. Eric is insecure because he knows that Virginia came from a certain type of lifestyle. With her parents being married and divorced so many times, how she likes to hang out and party Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, can just pass out on other people's couches. So that's making him insecure and, trying to level her up on the same standard he has in the past 3 years where he hasn't been married. So that's where I see Eric. But as far as Virginia goes, I've said also from the very beginning, she wants and is longing for a family that she can have and to hold, to romance forever, the fairy tale. But she's afraid because the only relationship she's seen like that, again, is her sister and her partner. So they have to come to that together if they're going to work it out, with counseling, of course, and the put down of the bottle.
With who's counseling? Not the pastor,
Outside
the experts.
Outside assistants.
Well, I guess that just moves us on ahead to Brianna and Vincent. And it's everything that we pretty much expect from Brianna and Vincent. Everything's all pleasantries right now. Brianna says she knows she's in love with someone where she can look past their flaws and just can deal with it. And Vincent says, yeah, same. I agree with you. And everything for Vincent was like, yeah, I agree with you. So they're almost in love with each other. But didn't they say it to each other at the end?
Brianna actually said it then. She said, I honestly say that I love you. And he said the same thing back to her.
Do you think he was being a copycat, or do you think he really loves her?
I'm not sure anymore where Vincent may stand because just his inconsistencies that we've seen in the last few episodes.
And then, of course, our last couple, Jacob and Haley, also had that question. But we don't really need to talk about them because they even said that, we're not even close to being in love or attraction to each other, so we really don't have nothing to talk about.
Right.
But he did go in to say that he was in love and has been in love a few times, and he's usually the person who just gives interaction and doesn't really give gifts.
Right.
And Haley was like, I don't like that either.
Like,
she don't like nothing about him. But we did find out a little bit about her past relationship that was 7 years ago. So it was on and off for 5 years. And this is where it made her really see, like, whenever she sees a red flag, she just puts her guard up. So clearly she's doing that with Jacob, with his 80s thing, his steak and eggs, and all that other stuff.
Well, Haley has been doing this for 7 years since she hasn't been in that relationship, because she's been in a few that hasn't worked out. Let Lauren tell it. So Haley, anytime she sees a flag, that's it. So I'm starting to think that that relationship that Haley had the first time with the person she loved was a first love or a true love, and she hasn't gotten past that because
well, you and Jacob feel the same thing. So with that being said, this pretty much leads us to the scene where Jacob is throwing a pool party at his house for Haley because he wants to make more of a connection with her. And we finally got to see the beach.
I was like, yay, we finally get to see the outside. Like, what does it look like? And you know what? As
nice.
Described, I was like, this is really nice. So for me, take Jacob's backyard and then Eric's apartment.
You balling.
Boom.
Pretty much. It will look good. Plus the sauna and the thing. So it looks nice. All the couples come over. Brianna comes over solo. Paige comes over, of course, solo. He ain't going over there. Chris was not going nowhere over there. But the whole thing was really nice. Everyone's getting along. The guys, of course, love the man cave and everything about Eric's house. And when the girls are outside, this is where Paige lets all the girls know, like, I had the meetup with Chris and the ex-fiancé, and you know what? I'm over it. I'm done. You know, this marriage no longer serves me. So all the girls are like, yes, Paige, yes, we're so happy
But
for
you know what? No, I don't think they believed her.
They didn't until she hit the plot twist. That's where it came in. And they're like, what's the plot twist? She was like, well, he did call me to sit down and talk to him. And now they're like, Paige, are you serious? Like, Claire was like, girl, I feel like I'm getting whiplash from you.
Exactly. And you know what? Once again, I want to know, how is he still calling me? You want to talk to me, you go through production to talk to me, to possibly film. You're not calling me. You're blocked. It's over.
Well, that's you. That's not how Paige works. You know, Paige, which what she said, you know, if the Lord tells me something in the morning, that's what she's gonna go with.
Earlier, we forgot to mention with Pastor Dwight, she said it's starting to fall under like, shame on, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. Girl, I got about 10 reasons. So what shame is already shame on
What's
you?
the 10 reasons?
We don't have time.
But it's been more than 2 times.
Yes.
And 2 times is way too much. But she wants to go meet with him again and to see what he has to say. But before we get to that meetup, we have a few things to go through first. And that is the donut shop with Clara and Ryan. Now, it was very nice and thoughtful for Ryan to do that for her because he knows that she likes donuts. He knows that she likes acts of service, gifts. That's her love language. So it was a very nice time. But Clara wasn't feeling the motivation speech that he was trying to give. And I'm not gonna lie, I thought it was really funny. She was like, I feel like I've been tricked. I'm here to hear a motivation seminar with free donuts. Like, what's happening?
Just the conversation just got off on a tangent, and Ryan was over talking. Even I was looking like,
Well, that's how we always.
when are you
look
gonna
at
stop?
Ryan.
I know, but still, it's like, Ryan, this is not the time. This is supposed to be a connecting thing, not a self-help awareness.
Well, maybe he was trying to connect with her with something that he knows that's positive in his life, thinking, what can he do better in the morning to progress himself? While we found out that Clara is not thinking about that. She's only motivated to pay her bills. Another nice thing we see with Vincent and Brianna this time, Vincent wants to teach Brianna some Spanish words every day, 4 words a day, so she can be acclimated in his culture. And not only that, he also got her a bike so they can do outdoor stuff with. I was like, Vincent, this is what we like to see.
They can
from
do
you.
what stuff with?
Outdoor stuff.
Oh.
Ride bikes.
I thought you said something else. I don't know what I thought you said. But I thought it was nice that he got her a bike because she had mentioned it at the wedding. So it's something that he was actually listening in a conversation. I'm like, okay, you get a check mark for now until we get to those later scenes.
It was nice. That's the stuff that we like to see from Vincent. And then we finally get into that sit down with Chris and Paige. Chris comes off like, you know, how you doing? what drink you drinking? How's your week going? I was like, Chris, get on with the conversation.
What is the point?
Like, you know what we're here for. Just cut to the chase. And then he gets into like, oh, well, you know, I heard you had a long week this week thinking, hanging out with people that I know. I was like, Chris, why are you trying to come at her like she did something behind your back, like sneaky or whatever? It reminded me of this song, like this 80s song by Orange Juice Jones. Is that his name, Mom?
Yes.
What was the song? What was that part in that song?
Oh, yeah, you alley cat coat wearing, hush puppy shoe wearing, crumb cake I saw you with. Like, is that how he's trying to describe Pastor Dwight?
Pretty much, because he just made it seem like she did something very shisty. But then in the confessional, he tried to clear it up. You know, I'm not mad at Paige. I just don't really like what Pastor Dwight did. So, you know, I'm not speaking to him anymore.
Right.
I was like,
come to me as a man. I'm like, if you acted like a man, maybe I would come talk to you like a man. And you know what? While they were sitting there, Paige just want to know, what are we doing here? Honestly, like, what?
That made you stutter, like, what
are we doing here? You know? Because I want to know the same thing. Yes. And then she gets mad, she gets up, she walks away, and then we see production. Whether she asked for their opinion or not, why are they even stepping in? If I got up to leave, let me leave.
But I forgot why she left, though.
Well,
she left because he pretty much said, you know, I'm here to basically tell you I'm not really changing the conversation from what it was last week, because he pretty much feels the same way this week. So I'm like, what was the reason? It could have been a phone call, even though you would have had him blocked, something, and maybe a text message. I don't know. It was just not needed, if you ask me, in my opinion.
It wasn't needed, but you know what? At the end of the conversation, which got nowhere,
it got somewhere.
They decided they was going to start over. Or was it Paige decided she want to start over? Because he doesn't want to hurt her. It's never been about that. She's a good woman. She don't deserve that. But did you notice when he was saying that? He wasn't even looking at her in her eye. He was looking all around but to her, which goes to show you're not serious.
For some reason, because he said he want to start over, she wants to start over. They say their names again, and I was like, this whole scene is corny.
It's your shirt. I'm over it.
And then we also see the scene with Brianna and Vincent, which is like Vincent does good things. He be up there, but then he comes down all the time because they go salsa dancing, and Vincent's like, you know, I'm not that really good at salsa. I'm bachata, that's what I do. Salsa, I don't really know this. But even in the whole class, like, I understand, like, you get frustrated because you want to be a perfectionist. He doesn't like being embarrassed because he's a macho man. That's fine. But you're there with your wife. She wanted you to do this to bond with you so you guys can have a connection. But you just copping an attitude the whole time. Like, if I was Brianna, I would have been over it. She handled it very, very nicely. I think she walked on eggshells with Vincent because he had that...
In his throat?
In his throat. I heard it. I was like, uh-oh.
Well,
time to go.
Not just that, you know, you can see it when he was dancing because, you know, he didn't want to seem like, it goes back again to previous episodes, like he was being made fun of or, you know, something like that. That's what I got from that. Like, he didn't want to be embarrassed. Like, it went back to some type of trauma he's experienced before, like, how come you're not doing that right, kind of thing.
I'm gonna need him to work on his growth mindset because this ain't it. I'm over it, and I'm not trying to downplay his feelings or anything, but he should have thought about Brianna's feelings, and he didn't, and that's the issue I have. So the last scene in this whole episode, that was actually a really cute scene, and I was super surprised with Eric and Virginia. Eric made a really nice dinner for Virginia at his beautiful condo.
But before you continue, though, why did he leave a note for her at her place and she's meeting him at their place? Where is their mutual place? That's what I want to know.
I don't know. Maybe she gets dressed and ready at her place.
No.
You think that's fishy?
That is fishy. But he did make a nice meal. They did connect. And, you know, he played her a song that he started to write and everything. He don't have the words for it, but it was nice. He, you know, started to do all that, and then he told her, I love you.
It was cute. It was something that we needed throughout this episode. Something nice to end the episode, which was lovely. So thank you, Eric, for that. Even though next week it seems like things are about to go downhill again for pretty much all the couples. We're just gonna have to see where it goes. So, what did you think about this week's episode, Mom?
I was over it from the very beginning. I didn't see any growth in any couple. That includes Eric and Virginia. I think he said that to be nice. I don't know if I necessarily believe that right now.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, I think they could have did a lot more with the questions. We've seen more in-depth questions and games in previous seasons, but this is a different one. So I don't know. This came across as a little filler for me again.
It was definitely a filler episode. Well, let us know what you guys thought in the comments down below about this episode, or what you think is going to happen in next week's episode. So thank you all so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe to our channel. If you haven't liked the video yet, please like the video. And also, if you want to join us tomorrow at 5:15 or 8:15, I believe it's Eastern time, 5:15 West Coast time, so we can talk about this episode of Married at First Sight.
Thank you all again for watching. And as always, live simply, be grateful.